Hey everybody, welcome back to RPG Review. This is the third episode of RPG Review. The last time we were here, we talked about Pathfinder 2e. The time before that, we talked about D&D 5e. We're kind of throwing a curveball at you here. We were talking about the Burning Wheel.
Yes.
Okay, which I know very little about, and the Penitent knows a ton about. I'm Cass, by the way. Hi, if you don't already know who I am. Hi, I'm Cass with College of Lore.
I am the Penitent with College of Lore.
And we were going to talk about Burning Wheel, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on Burning Wheel, because like I said, I barely know anything.
So, this is based on the Burning Wheel Gold Edition, specifically,
Okay.
with some commentary about the Burning Wheel Codex as well added in.
Okay.
Which is an expansion book that is, I would argue, essential.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't be judging anything based on the Codex, I'll just be adding context from it.
Okay, cool. So what's the Burning Wheel?
So, it is also a fantasy role-playing game,
Okay.
like the two before that we've done here.
We won't only be doing that. We're doing Shadowrun next
Yes.
time. I promise it's not just fantasy stuff.
It, unlike the other two, doesn't have a dedicated setting to it.
Okay. Fun.
And, you know, D&D and Pathfinder, you can sub out the setting for whatever.
Although Pathfinder is harder to do
Yes.
that with.
You are expressly asked to build your own setting
Fun.
with Burning Wheel. In fact, you were asked to do it in Session 0.
Okay.
It is a
Nice.
game that, notably is, I would argue, next to impossible to have that at Session 0.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Go check out our Session 0 podcast video with the Academy.
yeah.
We talk about that. That one's kind of 5e centric, but it's not just about 5e at all.
Yeah, and the other big gimmick of it is character-centric,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically impossible to pre-plan for.
Cool.
You can make a base storyline, but, you know, I'd almost be curious what it'd be like to adapt something like Curse of Strahd into Burning Wheel,
Okay.
and see how that would be.
Yeah.
There's
There's some interesting things that I have learned from you about Burning Wheel. I would like to see us talk
Yes.
about that at some point.
Notably, the book is a slog.
Yeah.
It is 600 pages.
Oh god.
Uh,
I don't think I've ever read 600 pages of anything in my life.
and again,
I don't think that's actually true.
a lot of it, I think about 100 of it is character creation options.
Okay, that's a lot of options.
Yeah, it's 600 pages. The Burning
Wow.
Wheel Gold.
Wow.
Um,
But not all of that is needed for everything, I assume.
no.
Cool.
And a lot of the rules can be messed with.
Yeah, slimmed down, simplified.
Yes. I'm actually changing all my ratings live on air.
Okay, cool. So who made Burning Wheel?
So, it was made by, Luke Crane, who
operates independently,
yes,
right?
independently operated. One of my favorite people in the game design space.
Okay.
Independently produced. It is not one of the most popular RPGs in the world, but I love it.
It's your favorite.
Yes.
It's their favorite.
It is a fantastic game. There is a video online. There are a couple videos online talking about how good it is, but it's kind of niche, kind of underground. Its fandom is not exceedingly popular.
It has kind of a cult following,
yeah.
what you told me.
Yeah, it's a cult hit RPG, I would say.
Cool. This one's very character-driven. Does that make it cooperative, necessarily?
No.
Okay.
It is actually, I would argue, one of the most inherently non-cooperative.
Okay.
That being said, you can do a sword and sorcery adventure party. You can be adventuring parties. But given especially the life path system of character creation,
It makes
It
more
is-
sense if you're not.
it is entirely possible to make characters that have nothing in common, characters that are actively averse and actively antagonistic to each other.
Okay.
Um,
That's pretty cool. And we haven't talked about anything like that on this channel yet.
yeah, you know, you can do a lot of, like, you could make, like, I have a wizard and I have a knight,
Mm.
and we've all joined together to go conquer this dragon. But you could also have, this is a noble court intrigue setting. I am a princess. Another character has built my court jester.
Mm-hmm.
And another
And
character,
these people don't even necessarily have to immediately know each other, right?
and another character has built the huntsman in the woods outside the Empire who goes to sell his furs and meats to the kind of royal nobility once a
Mhm.
month. And it's really easy to make characters that are not interconnected. And it's actually
Okay.
actively more difficult to make a sword and sorcery, Lord of the Rings Fellowship type party.
Okay, cool. You said we talked about this in the last video, but we're gonna actually talk about it here. This one's crunchy. How crunchy is this one?
Oh, very, very.
Crunching noises into the microphone. I'm gonna eat some chips. Send us chips.
It is.
So I can eat them in the microphone.
It is a bag of. I thought you were going to eat them in the microwave.
I'm gonna go sit in the microwave and eat some chips. Send me chips.
It is one of the crunchiest books out there. It is not Warhammer, but it's not 5e, and it's not Pathfinder.
It's worse than Pathfinder.
By
a significant margin?
Yeah, the book is 600 pages long. I adore it. I have played it several times. I have played it for years. And I don't know all the rules.
Okay. Good to know. Grimdark scale here?
So, it leans dark. It leans dark.
Does it lean darker than... We talked about Pathfinder, it leans a little darker than 5e. Is this further down that scale?
Yes, because almost inherent to the setting is that you will probably build a world that is closer to actual Dark Ages Europe.
Okay, and one of the integral things to it, apparently, from what I understand, is there has to be some big problem.
Yeah,
some big going.
Probably,
I guess it doesn't have to be a problem.
Some big going on. Something
which usually leans problem.
Is creating a changing, evolving, declining.
Yeah. Which I guess doesn't always have to be bad, but like that stuff leans bad.
Yes.
Most of the ideas you'll come up with for that are probably bad things.
Yes.
Okay. So that doesn't help.
One of my favorite games I've ever played, the problem was the sun vanished.
Yeah.
The sun has stopped rising.
Which is super cool.
Yes.
When we were talking about this the other day, I wrote down a couple of concepts that I had for that. Not all of them were bad. Some of them were really like problematic. Some of them were just weird. One of the ones I wrote down was all the natural water sources have frozen over. You can't get any water anywhere.
Another one I haven't played but I'd love to is every person's every person, at least in the kingdom, has suddenly become the opposite biological sex of what they were.
Yeah.
Just spontaneously in one moment.
Whoa. That's fun.
Which, yeah.
One of the other ones I wrote down. Sorry to ramble about this, everybody. Everyone on the planet has started sharing dreams.
Yes. So, kind of inherent, this doesn't have to be the case, but it should be.
Mm-hmm. Something is up.
Yes. Something is happening that there's a call to action.
Mm-hmm. And it's a very obvious direct one that is affecting everyone.
And you are supposed to come that both the GM and the players in a session 0 together.
Yeah.
And that can be, a physical session 0 or a Discord text that takes place over the course of several days.
Yeah.
But you and your players shall come up with a premise of what's happening that you're all excited about.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of ties into the how do you play it sort of thing, but
yeah.
Do you want to expand on anything else there?
It's a D6 system.
Which I don't do as well with.
Yes. You will need a lot of D6s.
I'm gonna eat them. I'm gonna... Crunching noises as I put several D6 in my mouth. The number of dice that I've fit in my mouth at a maximum at one time, and this is not all D6s, this is anywhere from D4s to D20s. I think it was 27 dice.
Alright.
I realized it's entirely irrelevant. I thought you guys would be impressed. If I did it with all D4s, I could probably get to 40. Yeah. But I would also probably swallow one and die.
So, the way that you play this game is you roll skill checks.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is done of the D6.
Yeah.
And the idea is a success on most things is a 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And a failure is a 1, 2, and 3.
Okay. That's pretty
now,
easy in theory.
You need to have more successes than the DC, basically.
Yeah.
DC is not the term used, but it's the D&D term.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be told before you roll what you need to meet, and the consequences for failure.
Okay. Fun.
It is a game that actively encourages you to fail. To root for failure, to make your failure interesting.
Yeah.
Because there is, say you fail a sneak, or say you, I'm trying to think of a really good example of something that happened in one of my games. Especially when you fail a magic type roll.
Yeah. What comes out of that, yeah.
Some of the best plot points can be made out of failures.
And that's true in a lot of settings, but especially in this one.
Yes.
One failure can change a lot of stuff.
And it encourages you, even with something simple like, say that you're sneaking and you fail a stealth roll.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that can have some sort of, some consequence of, the guards discover you.
Yeah.
But what if you're sneaking and someone you're not sure if they're your friend or foe comes upon you, and then you have a roleplay encounter that could last 5, 10, 15 minutes just based off this one failure.
Yeah. And alternatively, you can have, I guess, other consequences for that maybe your failure doesn't directly incriminate you, it incriminates someone else.
Yeah.
Which leads to character growth in a lot of people's
And
space.
it is also a player-driven story. Well, the DM does set some scenes, drive the plot. The biggest thing about this game is the players have beliefs that if they accomplish during the session, they get points that can be used for in-game advantages for completing. And it should be the goal of the players and the DM to get that done as well as possible. And typically it will be cut between scenes of various things. You will look at one of your players and be like, okay, so tell me what scene you want to do, instead of saying, okay, so you're in this scene. When I am DMing Burning Wheel, I typically have an establishing scene if it's necessary, especially at the start of a campaign.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's cut to you. What are you doing? And is any other player at the table present for this scene?
Okay. That sounds pretty cool.
There can be all 4 players present at once.
You're going to be just one.
It's great to have like a gala ball where all 4 players are present, or a noble court scene. But it's also fun to have players have their own little individual quirks and individual things going on. And it's so player driven. It's so hard to pre-plan for.
Because other people are dictating where you go.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But rather,
I love to improvise in my games. I do a lot of planning for the actual play on the actual play channel that we have. Go check out our actual play channel. Link in the description and on our actual channel. I do a lot of planning for that just because I feel like I want to have everything at my best. But some of my best work generally comes from when I'm improvising, and that is a great game to do that.
Yes. The thing about Burning Wheel that is just like, and I know we talked about more about the rules of this system. I assume you kind of know the rules of D20, and you can kind of figure out the rules of Pathfinder. It's so player driven as opposed to another game like D&D. It'd be impossible to write a module for.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Off the bat, it's so varied you could not write a module for this.
Which I guess is going to be fun when we'll talk about the flexibility category. But starting with the actual first category, what's the concept like for this?
9 out of 10.
Okay.
And that might be a little bit of bias showing, but it is simultaneously both a historical and fantasy RPG without being racist.
Which is impressive, honestly.
Yes. It is one of the few things that goes for some historical grit, while adding in fantasy elements and not saying anything subtly racist.
Cool.
Which you think would be easy to find, but isn't.
It isn't. There's too much racism. Too many problems.
The idea behind it is it's all this medieval setting, and it's all kind of this darker. There's a whole life path background of being a criminal. One of the bigger ones.
That's fun.
I love the concept of building a character's whole entire life. The character creation concept, you go from birth until your current age.
Yeah.
And it is one of the coolest character creation systems I've seen.
I made some in that once.
Yeah.
I just now remembered making those characters. We've been talking about it for ages, and I just now remembered how fun that was. That actually was fun.
Yes. I love the character creation system in this game. It alone gets it up there, as well as the divergence from the Tolkien, the D&D, to this more kind of grounded yet fantasy.
A little bit more realism, but still keeping that fantastical element.
Yeah. But its life path system puts it to a 9 out of 10 for me. It's not, if it were more... The setting were a little more evergreen, I might give it a 10 out of 10, but for right now it's a 9, which is the highest concept we've had.
Alright. What's the cost of entry?
9, as well.
Okay, cool.
Which I actually adapted up from an 8. after this video has started, I already announced it up. I forgot the book is $35.
Cool.
Not 50, not 60. It's about $35.
Well, that's pretty fucking cheap.
Yes, you can buy it from their store right now, Burning Wheel Gold Revised, for $35.
Okay.
There are other things. The Codex is also $35.
Which you said you think is kind of vaguely necessary, but not 100%.
It is not necessary. It is a great add-on. I prefer to play using it. I have one.
Okay.
But it is not necessary.
Okay. That's fair. So we're putting that on a 9.
Yes.
Okay. Player ease.
5.
Okay.
So
that scans from what I remember. It was fun to make. It was hard to make.
like Pathfinder, when you get into it, it's great. It is fucking hard to get into.
Very, very steep learning curve.
Character creation, I tend to tell people spend about 4 hours making a character if you haven't played one before.
Okay.
That
sounds right for me.
And you will. There's an online tool to help you build them. You are going to need someone who's played before to sit with you and walk you through how to make your character.
Yeah. Can't figure it out by yourself.
It is borderline impossible to figure out by yourself.
Okay.
Even if you have the book.
Yeah.
Because it's so dense and there's so much reading.
Yeah.
And again, there are some counterintuitive things for players, especially coming from any other RPG system. I doubt most people's first game is Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
For example, if you aren't trained in a skill, which there are a ton of skills,
and you're not trained in most of them,
you will not be trained in the vast majority of them. You have double DC on everything.
That sounds rough.
Yes.
Man.
And you can get trained in other skills, but you will have double DC on literally every role that you aren't trained in.
Cool.
Which is hard for players to remember because they're like, "Oh, I passed," and it's like, "Well, no, actually."
Yeah. Yes, but actually no.
It got doubled. And it's hard to remember how to, spend your points. What these points do. There are some mechanics that are borderline impossible to get. You might get them once, maybe twice a campaign. There is a deeds point system where, in order to earn a deeds point, you have to do something that actively hurts you in a miserable way, your character. You have to do something entirely, not necessarily altruistic, but something for the benefit of the game and the benefit of someone else.
That does not benefit you.
That does not benefit you. And I've seen it happen twice in my entire years of playing.
Wow.
Burning Wheel. And one time the character died while getting the deeds point.
Wow. I want to hear. You should put that on Game Tales.
I can briefly.
Yeah, summarize. But also put it in Game Tales later.
One character was a roguish type who got attached to a small child, and she sacrificed herself to let this child get away from a... Basically, this antagonist had trapped a bunch of people in a room, and was going to slaughter all of them, and she could have gotten away, or she could have taken a bullet for this child, and she did, and she died.
Wow.
But she got the deeds point, but she died.
Wow, that's intense. Wow.
The one other sacrificed... this was, by the way, before the latest Spider-Man movie came out. Did a sorcery roll to basically erase herself from everyone's memory. To spare them a horrible consequence that came from knowing her.
Wild. I think you told me about that one forever ago.
Yeah. Totally erased herself from existence from everyone else.
That's a lot.
And she got a deeds point for that.
Yeah.
And I played that character, which
good for you. You did it.
I didn't play the rogue, but I did play.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's super, super cool. We were talking about players, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have a lot to say. This is my favorite game. I've said this before, I'll say it again. This is my favorite game.
You gotta let me play with you sometime. Again, we gotta try it.
If you want to see this played on the channel...
Please don't do that to me, but also please do that to me. Do this for her. She deserves it.
We're worried. We'll probably stream it for my birthday or something.
Yeah.
But we're worried that... We've talked about playing Burning Wheel a couple times.
Yeah.
We are scared that it will get, 2K views. At most.
Yeah.
A couple thousand at most.
We will do it anyway, if you want us to.
Yeah, if you want to see Burning Wheel, even a short-form game, but there's not really short-form with Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
Burning Wheel does not lend itself to one-shots.
Yeah. That's okay.
We'll
do it just for us. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it.
Yeah. But that being said, it's not impossible, and once you really get into the game, you can get into it. It's hard to come from any other system and be like, okay, so you're driving the plot now. Tell me what you want to do, character.
Yeah. So speaking of that, GMs aren't driving the plot in this one. How easy is it to be a GM?
3 out of 10?
Makes it harder for a lot of people.
This book is 600 pages.
Yeah.
As I said, I have played this game for years. I do not know all the rules.
Yeah.
And, I don't know all D&D's rules either. I don't know all Pathfinder's. I can't run combat in this game.
So you just don't, or?
No. So, I do there's a simplified variation on combat.
Okay.
The base combat system is so fucking complicated. I can't run it.
And you've done this for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have tried it twice. 2 different campaigns, we decided we're just gonna hound this out, try to play with the combat rules as written.
Couldn't do it.
No.
Wild.
We could do it. It takes so long.
It's so needlessly...
And you have to consult so much.
Yeah. Needlessly complicated.
Yes, it's also complicated, very complicated to figure out if you're dying.
That's fun. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yes. Everything to do with combat is so complicated. Keeping track of everything you need to keep track of is so complicated. Making up what characters' skills are on the fly. Yeah. It's not like D&D where you're like, oh, their mod would be a 4. It's, okay, are they trained in this or not? And if they're trained, how many dice do they have in it? And if they're really high level, are they white-shaded, gray-shaded, which respectively means a gray-shaded skill, anything above a 3 is a success, or everything 3 or above is a success. And a white-shaded, anything but a 1 succeeds.
Okay.
On a die roll.
Yeah.
And you can do that typically by trading in, I believe, 5 of your dice to shade a skill.
Wow.
Or some people get it naturally, some NPCs will get it naturally, or some high trait characters. It is hard to DM, and it is harder to DM if you're used to pre-planning a plot.
Yeah.
Because you just have to improvise.
Yeah.
There's a base plot to plot for, and there are base scenes you can call for. There is no planning everything for a session.
Yeah.
You can write and write and write details. You can world build till your hands are numb. You cannot have everything plotted for this session.
Yeah. Well, that makes it a lot harder, especially if you're not the improv type. I am the improv type. I would probably have a nightmare with the crunchiness of it.
Yes.
I think I said this at some point, either in this video or the last video. My best stuff comes from improv, like 95% of the time.
I think, honestly, you would be an amazing Burning Wheel jam.
Yeah. If I can get all the rules.
Yes.
If I can get enough of the rule stuff down. I do well with improv, and I am not really ashamed to admit that anymore, although I would have been if you asked me a year ago.
Yes.
The first time I ever DM'd a game was a disaster. I didn't know what I was doing. I was terrible at it. I have gotten way better since then, and a lot of that comes from you. A lot of that comes from you DMing for me and showing me how to do a good job with it. But I love improv, and I love doing improv in games, and I feel like I would have a field day with Burning Wheel if I could get the rules down.
Yes. Ironically, the combat system is really complicated and takes a lot of effort for me to figure out. I could probably figure it out now. The social combat system, based off the combat system, is also really complicated, but I love it so much.
Yeah, we talked about that in something.
It is hard to figure out. It is as hard as combat to figure out. I know a few people who jam the game. I don't know anyone who can do both.
Yeah.
Luke Crane could probably do both.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sure there's someone who knows it well enough.
And I imagine if you asked me, if my life depended on it, I could run combat. But it's much simpler to just, like, instead of doing this whole song and dance, roll sword versus sword.
Yeah.
It's much simpler and more streamlined that way. It's complicated.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah. Flexibility. Talk to me about that.
So,
we talked about that probably being... It gets some points in some areas and less in others, right?
Yeah, so flexibility is typically flexibility of setting and flexibility of,
plot, right?
Plot. And it can be anything you want.
Yeah.
Luke Crane, I believe, himself has a list of questions to ask in Session 0. And again, with no baked-in plot, it's really easy to... With no baked-in plot, it's really easy to make your own setting whenever you want. You know, if you wanted to play a Burning Wheel game set in Faerun, you could.
Good, yeah.
Or set in, I don't remember the Game of Thrones place, but there.
Matter.
Or Middle-earth.
Yeah. Anywhere you want, in theory, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you adapt it up to, like, modern sci-fi?
No.
Okay.
No. I want to say yes, but no. I've written a mod for the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not public anywhere.
No.
And I no longer speak to the person who helped me write it.
Mm-hmm.
So licensing issues abound with it.
Mm-hmm. We could rewrite it.
But I've written a modern high school thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to write every single life path individually. None of them translate up in the character creation.
Wild, okay.
I had to rewrite almost entirely new traits because it is everything in character creation is centered around being someone who exists in a medieval fantasy setting.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for anything else. Much as I would love to say it does,
It does.
There is no way. It would take months to modify it to anything else. So while there is flexibility within, you can play any kind of fantasy setting, you can only play a fantasy setting.
So where does that leave?
6 out of 10 for me.
That is fair. I think that's more than fair. And then variety, kind of on that. That's
So,
similar.
Okay, so here's the thing. Base book, there are 4 races.
Yeah.
There are humans, elves, dwarves, orcs.
Okay.
There are more in other books.
Mm-hmm.
There are great wolves, which I love using.
Mm-hmm.
There are some variant of rat folk.
Mm-hmm.
A few other things. I, at one point, homebrewed a tiefling style race.
Yeah.
That being said, especially for humans,
Mm-hmm.
there are so many lifestyle backgrounds.
Yeah. That you can basically get anything.
I mean, you're building your character's whole life.
Yeah.
You know.
That gives you a lot of room to kind of move around.
Yeah, and you can basically start anywhere and end up anywhere. You know, it's hard to end up... There's probably a path, but I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
That you can go from dirt poor to noble.
Yeah. You could probably figure it out with enough time.
But just about anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I once played a character who started noble.
Mm-hmm.
She was a, princess of a kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Who proceeded to, get basically kidnapped and end up a slave and started her life as started the game as a slave.
That's cool.
So you can end up there via a series of life paths.
Mm-hmm.
There are some restrictions, there are some prerequisites to get certain life paths.
Yeah.
But basically, the way I think you should make a game is you should come up with a high concept.
Mm-hmm.
Be like, this is the life path I want to end up with. Knight, Crown Prince,
something like that.
Witch.
Mm-hmm.
And work back from there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There is so much variety in the life path system that it doesn't bother me that there are virtually no racial variety.
Mm-hmm. Because you can take so much stuff anywhere. Anyway.
Yes.
So where does that leave us? Score-wise?
So for a variety score, and I think a perfect variety game would have just tons of races, tons of backgrounds. There is no class system, so I'm ignoring classes entirely.
Mm-hmm.
8 out of 10.
Okay, I think that's fair. You put popularity low on this one, right?
Yeah, I did.
This is a cult following. This is what docks this one from being up high.
So it's not unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
There's a subreddit for it. There's a website. If you look up Burning Wheel on YouTube, you'll find things.
But not very many.
I put it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. This is the big hit that this thing takes.
We talk about the chart. It's not close to it.
Yeah. It's not even on the chart, and it wouldn't be close to on the chart.
I love the game. r/D&D gets hundreds of posts a day.
Yeah.
The Burning Wheel subreddit might get a couple posts a week.
Yeah.
Which, it's a cult classic. I love the game. It is so hard to get into, but once you do, it is so good.
You're just gonna keep saying this the whole video. I'm not mad. I'm just saying this is your thing. This is your thing, and damn anyone who tells you not to care about it, but
you could
it's
argue
yours.
for a 2 on popularity, honestly, but I think 3 is fine. It's not like... A 1 or a 0 would be an obscure, like, some random source book that you have, like, it's hard to find a copy of.
Like the
or
kind of thing
PDF
that you just stumble on.
Yeah, something you might stumble on in, like, a used gift store, a
Yeah.
used thrift store. But there's, like, nothing about it online.
Yeah.
And I know of certain games that there's hardly anything about. There's actually one very obscure 90s RPG that I've played a couple of times.
Which is what?
Oh, God.
Do you not remember what it's called?
It's like Witch or Magic or something.
Okay, something very, very basic. Oh yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, similar to that.
Cool.
You know, it's not World of Darkness, it's not D&D, it's not close.
Yeah.
But there are some people, it's not unheard of.
Yeah. Replay value.
10 out of 10.
This one's high. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do anything you want fantasy-wise.
You can do this so many times.
No two games will be the same, and because of the variety of roles, you could take a game with the same premise 5 times and end up with 5 entirely different stories just because of the characters alone.
Yeah.
It is infinite replay value, even more so than Pathfinder and D&D. If I could give it an 11 or something, I would.
That's fair. You think this game is really fun?
Yeah, so...
Objectively? Or as objectively as it gets?
Full bias. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And I know that comes off bias, but let me explain why.
I want to hear you out.
If you don't like roleplay, do not play this game.
Yeah. We are very roleplay oriented, the both of us.
It is, honestly, one of the best role-playing games. The role-playing aspect of it.
Yeah.
You can make virtually anything you want. There is a literal system where you can force the DM to put an NPC into your backstory. You can add character creation by character relationships, and you get to dictate, this is how this character feels about me.
Yeah. That's fun.
You can say, hey, straight up, I bought this character creation, this is my husband, he loves me.
Yeah.
There's nothing untoward there. That can change over play.
Yes.
But at the start of the game, this character loves me.
Yes.
You can, at some points, I think, there is some way to get free characters, but they have to have very specific restrictions on them.
Yeah.
They could be free, but they have to have minor influence over the setting. They have to hate you. Yeah, right. Minor influence over the setting. They have to hate you, they have to be your immediate family member, and you have to be having a romantic relationship with them.
Well, that sounds complicated to make all of that
Yeah.
happen at once.
Yeah.
That seems like several things that kind of contradict each other as a general rule.
Yep.
Not only do you have a partner who just absolutely hates your guts, they're also your brother.
Yeah. But
nightmarish.
That would be free.
Nightmarish.
That would be free.
That would be free. And they would be, like, totally irrelevant to everything else.
Yes. And the DM, you know, I say force, but the DM will put them in the game for you.
Yeah.
Anyone else, so, different to backstory, anyone else, the DM gets to decide entirely what they are and how they feel about you.
Cool.
You know, you can say I have 10 brothers, and that's true.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk to them, you have to roll a social skill called circles.
Cool.
And if you succeed in that roll, you can dictate how favorable that relationship is, and if you fail, the DM chooses entirely.
Okay. That's fun.
So
don't have too many preconceived notions of that.
Yeah. It's just, it is...
A lot of this is about just going in blind.
It captures the roleplay
It captures the feeling of a real story unfolding in real time.
Yeah, there's so much drama there, and there's so much... You know, you have a character that you're close to and you're going well with, and, you know, say you've rolled circles on your boss several good times, and you fail one roll and all of a sudden you're on the edge of getting fired or killed. Yeah. Depending on your career path. It is a blast. If you even vaguely like role-playing games, the role-playing aspect of it.
Try it.
Yeah. And I think that the social combat system is so fun that if you really like combat, and you dedicated to learning it, it's like a card game, it's like a board game. The combat and social combat systems.
Yeah.
They're like a board game, and you have to learn different rules for both of them. But if you like the board game, kind of like, if I can briefly describe it, you map out, kind of like initiative, both in social and physical combat, 3 actions face down, and your opponent will do the same. And each action interacts differently. Like, there is attack and counterattack, there's attack and block, there's attack and attack. It's like a board game, like a card game, and I love it so much.
But it's complicated.
Yes, but it's so much fun.
Okay. I believe you. I
So
promise.
10 out of 10
Yeah.
for me.
Quality.
Full bias. 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Kind of inherent in the idea that characters won't be balanced according to the setting
Yeah.
comes not a need for balance.
Yeah.
You know, you will have someone born destitute and someone born noble, and that noble character is going to be significantly healthier, stronger,
Just
more well trained.
But that leads for more story beats.
Well, yeah. So they tend to compensate for that by giving you more points to buy traits, which some traits can be really good. Sometimes you need 5 trait points to be able to cast magic at all. Because magic is a trait, and I've heard homebrew rules where gifted it doesn't cost if you're in specific game settings. But by and large, like, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought for a second. By and large, it's balanced because the players can get equal things, and the players can understand, well, you know, I'm a court jester who was born a slave, I'm not going to be as strong as a knight. And while in D&D that doesn't really work, in Burning Wheel that's kind of the point.
Yeah.
You're good at different things, but you're all good at something. There are no typos in the book. The book is very well written. The book is a little long to read.
Yeah.
But it does help simplify the crunch. The end of every chapter has an in-summary section, which is really helpful.
Yeah. That's super helpful. Which is kind of... We talked about Pathfinder has a lot of crunch. They do nothing to simplify it. That's a great way to simplify it. That's the kind of thing that that you think would be useful in other things, and I think I agree with you.
Yes.
Summarizing rules is always a great thing.
So, with that said, my final score.
What is your final score?
72 of 100.
Which is not reflective of how much you love this game. If you could give this game 100, you would.
I would, but that wouldn't be fair.
No, that's too subjective.
My unfairness is giving it 10 on a fun.
Yes. That's the little bit of subjectiveness we're putting in. And we've talked about fun is subjective.
Yes. Its highest points for me were replay value and fun.
Yeah.
Its lowest were popularity and GM ease.
Yeah. Scoreboard Jack.
So,
it's in third.
It's in third with 72. Pathfinder 2E with 81 just above it. And at number 1, D&D 5E with 85.
Alright.
One thing I'd like to talk about briefly is the Codex. There was no real point to talk about this in the review that I found easily. The Codex has new magic rules. Much simpler magic rules.
That's useful.
It streamlines magic. There's a spell book in the Burning Wheel Gold. It is so complicated. Complicated to the point of near parody.
Yeah.
I don't know how to run that at all. I have never run a game with that style of sorcery. Where you need spells, or as an elf you need songs of some sort. The Codex just has you roll all of these different magic-related skills.
Well,
you can
much
kind
easier.
of fork into each other. And it is so much better.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, buy Burning Wheel, buy the Codex. Please say you want us to play this game.
You want to play this game so bad. All of you want us to play this game so bad. I'm gonna put like a hypnosis thing at the end of this. You know the YouTube videos where they have like the hypnotize yourself into doing whatever?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put one of those at the end of this video, hypnotize all of our viewers into letting us play Burning Wheel live.
Man, now I want to try adapting Curse of Strahd into Burning Wheel.
We could try it sometime. But not right now, not on the channel.
No,
we have work to do.
That is
That's Burning Wheel.
Our review of Burning Wheel Gold Edition.
Yep. And the Codex, just a little. Sprinkle that in.
So, with that said, be sure to check out our actual play channel. Be sure to check out our other videos in this channel.
Please comment and tell us, have you ever even heard of Burning Wheel?
Yeah, you heard of Burning
Comment
Wheel?
and tell us, have you ever even heard of Burning Wheel?
Did this video make you pique your interest in Burning Wheel?
Did this video make you be like, oh god, I don't ever want to touch this? Don't say that, she'll get sad.
Yeah. If you played Burning Wheel because of this video, please comment and let us know how that went.
Yeah, if you have any Burning Wheel stories, if you're actually that cool.
You know what? I have a goal for the comment section of this video. some group in the comments, some group of absolute, like, legends,
Yeah.
make a Burning Wheel group in this comment section.
Yeah. And go.
Get a Burning Wheel group together.
Get a Burning Wheel group together, go play on, like, Discord or something. And tell us how it goes. And we will, like, give you money.
If you record...
I don't have money to give you right now, but...
If you record a video of it, we will host it for you.
Yeah, we will put it on the channel. We will support it.
Yes.
We will send you all the ad revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah, genuinely. We would do it.
Yeah.
We'll put it on our actual play channel and send you all the ad revenue.
So yeah, check out our actual play channel. Check out our other channel, College of Lore Shorts.
Yep. Take care of yourselves. We love you. Play Burning Wheel.
Yep.
Take care of yourselves, and by take care of yourselves, I mean play Burning Wheel. Or don't, if that sounds like a nightmare for you.
Take care of me.
Take care of the Penitent. Play Burning Wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stay tuned for all of our other RPG reviews. The next one that we're doing, I think, is going to be Shadowrun. We have a bunch more planned after that. Stick around until April for our Bad RPG Review Month, which culminates with Fatal, I think, right?
Yep, it's gonna be
so fun, and it's gonna get negative points because you get to deduct points for it being terrible.
It will include the entire Dark Trilogy and one other game. That is gonna be a surprise.
Alright. I'm excited to find out because I don't even know. I don't know what any of that means. But yeah, stay tuned for more. We love you guys. Thanks for watching RPG Review.
Thank you for watching this video from College of Lore. Remember to like this video, subscribe to join the party, and have a fantastic adventure.